Hi, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Well, it's not too bad in my apartment right now. I have that fan going. I hope you can see it. And then I have two more in the hall and two more in my bedroom. So it's keeping the air moving in here quite nice. I know yesterday when I sort of left the apartment, it got a little stuffy. But today, I want to touch on something that a lot of posts I've seen from kids, from parents, about kids having diabetes is that they're being bullied for it. Like, is there one little group of people that just go out and look for anything to bully? When I was growing up, I was bullied, but I was a big guy. I was fat, I couldn't run, kind of like I am now. Ha 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 ha. But, as things moved on and I came down with diabetes, I lost all my weight. And I mentioned before that when I went back to school, people thought I was a whole new student. I said, no, I've been sitting in this seat for a long time. But I can see where people could be bullied. And I think we've all seen where kids are getting bullied quite a bit more nowadays. Back in my day, yeah, you were hit, you were punched, but you kind of went home and you kind of forgot about it. Went back the next day, and it was a whole group. I can remember, I think it was my first sports day, and it was kindergarten, and we could come and bring our little tricycles, and we could ride our tricycles. And back then, I was not a big kid. I think I was long, but I really wasn't, big. And a kid behind me started bashing me with his wheel of his bike. And my dad had to come over and tell him pretty well to stop doing it. But looking back on my life as a diabetic, very few, if any, especially in school, time for me being bullied about that. Okay? I guess they had so much other ammunition to throw at me. But kids nowadays are vicious. A lot of times they're being mistreating kids. Kids hate to go to school. Some kids have even taken their lives. Now, how do you combat this? Well, you have to get teachers on board. If your teacher, your son's or daughter's teacher, is kind of, oh, well, yeah, well, I let them solve their own problems. You need to hit it in the what do they call it, on the head of the nail. You want to tell that we need to educate the whole class. And I'm not talking about bringing in all the doctors and letting them go through, but teaching them, because a lot of the trouble, from what I've been hearing, is stemming from people or kids not knowing not knowing. They seem to be trying to think, oh, that person's getting something I don't, so I'm just going to keep hurting him so that he will stop it. And a lot of times bullying stems from not knowing. Now, I've also seen it was grade 8 when I got diagnosed. So later on in my life, or high school, later on in my high school, I was always sort of protected by a close group of friends. That if somebody came and started bullying about me and being a diabetic, then, they were told to stop by my friends. And I think you have to educate your sons, your daughters, best friends first, and then friends and the whole class eventually. You want to tell them this has nothing to do with that person. He or she didn't do anything to get this illness. And, they see is, well, sometimes he gets to eat sweets in class. Or they could be bothering them because, they get to go to the bathroom whenever they want to, or they have to take their blood. Yeah, they prick themselves. Ooh, like a voodoo. And I can remember I had a boss at one time where that was exactly. He thought I was doing some sort of satanic ritual. And I had to get his boss to educate him about it. A lot of times, force is the last step. And I know kids are going to find this hard to believe. But they have to be able to get up, educate the classmates themselves, or you go and educate the class, or the teacher does, and telling them that, no, this wasn't because so-and-so is eating or was eating too much sugar, or he can't always run out and play because his sugar's low and he doesn't have energy. You've got to put it down to simplistic form, depending on the grade, too. I think most kids in their lifetime have been bullied, but I think this is something you need to stem right from the get-go. I've been told, we didn't think you could do the job because you were a diabetic. Is that bullying? Yes. Because no one came, no one asked about, can you do that job? Or, I applied for the job, I should be able to do the job. If you hear any sort of hint of being bullied for anything, first of all, but your son or daughter being bullied because they've been diagnosed with diabetes, you need to get on it right away. Go speak to the principal. Go speak to the teacher. Speak to the kids. Invite the kids over. As early on as your son or daughter or son, they're equal opportunity, have been diagnosed, so that if we stem it right from the get-go, you shouldn't be bullied. Because bullied can go on in the high school, And life is tough enough. As a kid, if your son or your daughter are getting bullied because they are a diabetic, it's got to stop. And it's got to stop now. Education. If you're a teacher, then have a class about it. I'm not saying all the big medical terms, but you can say, well, sometimes so and so doesn't feel like going out and running around because he has no energy, or his blood sugar sometimes goes high. For young diabetics and high school diabetics, never be ashamed that you are a diabetic. Oh, they'll think poorly of me. So what? I mean, we all want to be accepted, and yes, it can be difficult, but you can still do everything they can in most cases. Because, if you're sick because you have a low or whatever. But you shouldn't have them allowed to bully you. It's pure and simple. Parents, the diabetic, teachers, anyone has the right and it should be expected to stop bullying of this type. Talk to you later. Bye now.